WRAL Daily Download. I'm Grace Holland. You've probably heard a lot about AI in the last year, how it helps us and how it hurts us. Well, here's another one for the cons column. Scammers are now using it to mimic people's voices and scare you into sending them money. Five on Your Side's Keely Arthur has been investigating this. Keely, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, what got you interested in this story?
Well, a lot of times we'll get tips, but with this, it was more so law enforcement wanting our help and our partnership. What happens a lot is law enforcement, we'll be poking around on something and they can't really say anything. But then you'll have these stories like this where it's mutually beneficial to get together and do something about it. So the Nash County Sheriff's Office, Raleigh Police Department, and a former Wake County district attorney and judge all basically said this is becoming more and more of a problem. And then we coupled that with the fact that the Better Business Bureau also put out a warning. So the message Five on Your Side always has is scammers, it's their full-time job to get your money. And that's not our full-time job. So it's really easy to get tricked because these people are working really hard. And this is just a new kind of twist on an old scam.
Yeah. And what's stunning to me about that is, I feel like every now and then you'll see maybe a local department put out on a Facebook page, hey, there's a scam going around. But the fact that all these different jurisdictions reached out and were kind of sounding the alarm, really says something.
Absolutely. The Judge Ned Mangum, called it whack-a-mole. When you hit one scam and you think you've gotten rid of it, a new scam will pop right up. And a lot of the perpetrators are overseas, and they're coming to people, anyone that they think they will fall prey to it. So it's a global issue, but it's certainly plaguing people within the community that WRAL serves.
Right. And in your story that's airing tonight on WRAL, you spoke to a Pittsburgh woman that got caught up in one of these scams.
Yes.
So how did you meet her, and what is her story? Because I think it illustrates kind of how this is working.
So from a journalistic standpoint, you always, and you know this, Grace, you always want a personal story. You want somebody who has experienced whatever you're talking about. You have the official sound bites from the judges, from the law enforcement talking about scam prevention, and you want to hear from somebody who actually lived it, because that gets people way more invested.
Right.
Therefore, their ears are opening up. Hopefully they'll listen better. Hopefully they'll be protected more. So the Better Business Bureau had done the interview with me about AI scams, how they're becoming more and more prolific. And I asked them after the interview, hey, do you have anyone that has reported to you that's local in the area? Because they get reports about these scams all the time. And they said, yeah, we do. This woman named Melanie, a former nurse, really, really good head on her shoulders, but they were able to kind of prey on her heartstrings to get to her.
And how did that work exactly?
So she said that her grandson lives in California, and his mother, her daughter, had passed away. So she always feels this need to kind of take care of him, even though she's living in North Carolina. Anytime the grandson is in need, they spring into action. He is an adult now, and I believe his name is Justin. He called her late one night from jail and said, I've been arrested. I was in an accident. The victim that I hit is pregnant. She needs emergency surgery, and I need all this money right now. And again, it was late at night. It's earlier, allegedly, in California. And they fell for it because of all the things that I just explained. They care so much about this person. They wanted him to get out of the situation immediately. So even though it maybe sounded a little off, when you get into a stressful state like that, your logical brain gets a little foggy and you start reacting kind of in flight or fight mode. And they were in that situation. They wired the money via Zelle and Venmo, 2 payments totaling $5,000. And within 2 hours, they realized that they had been duped. When I'm saying they, Melanie and her husband, they realized they'd been duped, but the money was gone. And they're like, oh my gosh. So even just taking a step back, what these scammers do is they keep you on the phone. They
Yeah.
make you feel like you have to act right now or else the world is going to fall apart. And that's how they get you. Because if you hang up the phone and if like she had called a friend or call somebody and say, does this sound right? Or call the person that's allegedly calling you and verify it. But they keep you on the phone. That's one of the main hallmarks of these scammers.
Right. And obviously it was sort of spoofing his phone number. Was it also his voice that was being
It was
duplicated?
also
Wow.
his voice. And this is what we're seeing. So it's a scam as old as time, impersonating somebody to get money or someone like, hey, I'm so and so. You owe me this money, pay it. And it's not so and so. Now it's becoming way more sophisticated because of AI. We're able to do things and manipulate people in ways we never dreamed of because these things are so realistic. And what we're seeing now is you can put a person's voice and think about social media. Like everybody has videos of themselves speaking on camera. You and I certainly do,
Right.
but a
Right
lot
now.
of people, a lot of people do. And you can put it into, there are a few different websites, a few different apps, and you have to click a box that says like, I'm using this for good intentions and not to do things like this. But, scammers are going to ignore that. And you put that in the software. It takes the samples from your voice and then you type in what you want the voice to say and it will say it. And it's really uncanny. It sounds exactly like the person. And so, I mean, if somebody you love calls you in distress, I think people think they're never going to fall for it.
Right.
I think this is one that a lot of people can and will fall for.
Right, because I think we're all sitting here hearing this in abstract. You think when you explain like the details that were told to her, it's easy to be like, well, that sounds like
That's
maybe
ridiculous.
too crazy. Right. And it's easy to be like, how convincing could it possibly be? Have you been able to put it to the test yourself and try it?
Yeah, we did. And we did it with Deborah Morgan, very distinctive and well-known voice. And she's somebody like us and like, again, a lot of people who are not in media, who have social media footprints. We just took some of her clips, 2 minutes, I think, of her news reporting. And she's not talking about scams or money or anything in any of this, but I think she was talking about the Olympics. So we take that in and put it in this thing called, it's a website, 11 Labs, and type in what we wanted. And it was like, as you know, just to test it, hey, Keely, you're not, you missed jury duty. You owe us $10,000. Or you're going to be in jail if you don't pay me $600 in gift cards. Like that's a classic jury scam with the twist of the voice sounding very legitimate. They could impersonate a judge, a sheriff, whomever. Put it in there. I played it for Deborah. And she was like, what? Like, I really think that I would have thought that was me had I not known, everything that I just explained to her.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That is so crazy. Let's take a quick break right there and we'll be right back. Keely, before the break, we were talking about how these scammers do this and use AI to get people's money. What is it that law enforcement are specifically saying is so dangerous about this?
Well, it's dangerous because it's another way to drain your savings. I mean, right now, I think a lot of people feel cash strapped and it's hard out there financially. And this is a way for people, for hardworking Americans to lose their hard-earned dollars within a matter of minutes. You send that money. I mean, Five on Your Side's recovered more than $500,000 for people in the last 2 years. A lot of times, we're not recovering money that's been given to scammers. We'll get you money back if you've been misbilled or something like that. But if you've sent your money to a scammer, it's usually gone because these scammers, it's not like a traditional crime where the person who committed the crime is living or was in the community that you were in.
Right.
They're not even in the country a lot of times. So they're just trying to put the word out because I think people need reminding. To what we were talking about earlier, people never think it's going to happen to them. You need these constant reminders. I've almost fallen for things, and it's my job to teach people about avoiding scams. And I think I'm pretty smart, but yeah, the scammers are really good. So It's about saving your money and warning people.
Right. And from like a law enforcement and court perspective, they can't really do anything to get that money back either in most circumstances, right?
No, they will say now, like, I feel like the cyber crimes units within these law enforcement departments are getting better, and they're becoming more trained. I've heard, no one said this to me for this story, but you're more likely to be a victim of a cyber crime than a traditional crime. Like, you're more likely for somebody to hack you or whatever online. And so police officers, law enforcement agencies are having to get smart, because these are the crimes that we're seeing right now. These are the crimes that are plaguing the community. So the one thing they'll say is, if this happens to you and you do give money, call them right away, because it's easier for them to contact the financial institution to stop the payment than quickly. What has happened in the past is the average Joe sometimes has a hard time getting a hold of Venmo or getting a hold of the bank or being taken seriously. Now law enforcement is stepping in and saying, look, we are responding to this crime. You need to stop this right now. And they're able to act fast. But a lot of times the money's gone.
So with that being said, how can people protect themselves? If you're in this scenario where you pick up the phone and it sounds like your loved one's in a scary situation or in jail or whatever, what can you do in that situation?
I would say the one thing that everyone should know is nobody's going to get on the phone. No law enforcement agency or reputable business is going to get on the phone and say, you need to pay us right now. Stay on the phone until you pay us or else. Like, that should be your warning sign, because it might sound like, oh my God, like I really need to act on this fast. No, that nobody who's legitimate is going to act that way. Mm-hmm. So that should be your first tip off if anyone's asking you to do that. So to that point, don't be afraid to say, let me get your phone number. I'm going to call you back. Oh, I got to go. I need to talk to my partner, or I need to just talk to somebody really quick, or I'm getting another call. Hang up the phone and verify it and go through it. I mean, and nobody is going to arrest you for not coming to jury duty. You should go if you're summoned. But that's really the thing. It's like, take a deep breath, hang up, feel empowered to hang up, get your wits about you, and go from there. Don't let these scammers play on your emotions.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Keely, and thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email that's waiting in your inbox every morning with local news, events, and headlines to get you ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.